All right, I'm heading home from work, sorta. We had a little event, which is pretty cool. We went to go do like a board games thing, which is like an awesome little team building event. Sorry, I'm just pulling out of this parking lot. It's really crappy. No, we had I mentioned we had some traveling from out of state, which is cool. So we're just taking advantage of having the team together to do something fun. And I have no idea where I am right now in Redmond, and it's like 1,000,000 degrees in this car. Let me get things going. So I gotta turn here, apparently. I used to live around here-ish for a little bit. But time flies. That's, man, what, 3 years ago? I don't think I know this spot in particular, though, but it's, like, ridiculously warm today for the time of year. And I mean, like, based on what this morning felt like, man, definitely was not expecting this, but yeah, we had a little team building event at a board game kind of restaurant cafe place, which is fun. I'm terrible at board games and I don't know any of them, so I actually had a lot of fun though. Was saying like, and I think some other people are kind of saying this at the board games table, but like not like super competitive. So playing board games and like people like kind of being cutthroat playing board games, like I get anxiety with that kind of stuff. So it's like not enjoyable. It's just like anxiety fuel. So it's not how it was, which is nice. I'm sitting at this light and like it's not changing. So yeah, so that was good. We kind of we ducked out a little bit early from work to be able to do that. So that was really nice that we could go put that on. And yeah, now it's a little bit later than usual. So I'm leaving like Redmond area and it's like 6:20. I'm probably gonna get home just before 7. So it's a kind of a late one for work stuff, but that means tonight I have to get through some YouTube videos. I need to try and record 3 YouTube videos tonight, but also, like, I have not been home, and my wife goes to bed before me, so I need to spend some time with my wife as well, so got to make sure I do that. So when we're hanging out, I might just kind of think through some of the scripts and stuff I want to use for my videos, and then after she's gone to bed, I'll just make sure that I can get through them, but I got CrossFit in the morning too, so this is one of those things where, like, I think previously what I used to do is when I was stacking too much up on my plate to do, I would, like, I can just stay up late and get it done. And for me, well, historically, not so much over the past year or two, but historically I'm very much a night owl. So I get creative, I work, I'm more productive like at night when it's late. And so if I had to stay up late to get stuff done, it actually works well in my favor. But not so much these days, especially like now I'm trying to go to CrossFit and the class is at 6 in the morning. So like if I'm not out of the house by like 5:30, I'm going to be late for it. So I just have to be more effective with my time, and that means obviously when I get home, as long as my wife's home from work, and she should be, then I'll spend time with her, because that's important. And I don't want to, like, I don't know, like be gone the whole day and then not even see each other at all. So I'll do that, and then like I said, I'll try to get some filming done tonight. Now, the other thing that's happening, I think I mentioned in the previous video, but we're moving our whole BrandGhost website over to different hosting. So the other guys are working on that during the day. I think it's done. I haven't tested it or looked at it yet, but the whole, when I say website, I don't mean the front end of our application. I mean like the landing page where people want to collect information. I just realized how ridiculously bright it looks, and it's that bright. Like, look at this. Like, I can't see anything. So I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if it is finished. I think things are going pretty well based on what I heard, though. And the reason for that, if you didn't watch the last video, is like we were using Bubble. I've never personally used Bubble, but apparently it was convenient to use and get set up. But there's these crazy like latencies out of nowhere. I think it's like CDN or cache related. And on like when I say crazy, I don't mean like, oh, you had to wait 10 seconds to load the page. I mean literally minutes just sitting there, and like it's not even like it's slowly loading. It's just like the page looks like it's hung for minutes, to the point where people were saying, hey, your site's down. And then we'd go look and be like, no, it's there. And I think it's just because we were hitting, CDNs that were closer or some type of caching going on. So anyway, we are migrating to Webflow, and that should be done. I should probably try to check that. I don't know where I'm driving here. This is weird. That lane just ends in the right out of nowhere. So I almost cut someone off. Sorry. I'm Canadian. I just say sorry and it's all right. And then I got to get over into this lane. Once we're on the highway, we're cruising though. So yeah, I might not get much done on BrandGhost tonight because I need to get YouTube videos done. Technically I can film them tomorrow, but doing them tomorrow is pretty risky because it would mean that I have to get them done like I don't think that's gonna work. I have my mornings full, so I could do them in the morning. But my morning's full. I have CrossFit, then I'm going to be meeting with Ryan to talk about our next course. And if you think about it, I'm going to the office again tomorrow, so when I come back, I'm not going to be able to do that and like fit it in. So it would be so unfair to my editor to be like, hi, it's 10 p.m., like, please edit these videos to go live at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Like, even if he edited them for later in the day, which would be fine, I'm going to be at the office, so I can't do much about that. So, I got to get them done tonight. That's how it goes. And I'm, like last week, I didn't get much done for recording, like zero done during the week and only one video over the weekend. So, I got to make the time for it, so we'll do that. But otherwise, I'm trying to think of like what a good topic is to focus on, so I'm not just rambling at you. But I'm thinking like maybe something interesting is like next wave of users for BrandGhost, right? I don't want to focus so much on like when I talk about BrandGhost, I'm not trying to talk about it to market it to you. I'm trying to talk about it in a way that lets you see how I'm thinking about a SaaS that I'm building. So let me back up. So this, like today we were talking about pricing. So getting some questions about like starting to feel a little bit more of our audience out. And we're targeting like either content creators that are selling digital products and things like that. So you're actively trying to share content out. You might have paywalled content, courses, different resources, that kind of stuff. Or small businesses where you need to be creating content to help drive traffic to your website or your store, and you don't want to be consumed with like just trying to keep up with social media. Like let it be a little bit more automatic for you. Still need to create the content, but you don't have to worry about the posting and all that. So we are realizing that there are still other groups of people that are like interested, but the capabilities and stuff they need looks different. So I don't think it's a hyper focus for us that I want to have, but I think it's also an easy acquisition, and if we can sort of delight that customer group, then they'll want to stick around. And basically that's the group of people that creates content, but it's not business livelihood for them. So if they see our price, they might go, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would I pay that much money? Because like I'm posting content, I want it to go everywhere, but I'm not monetizing anything, right? I don't have income from this that's like I rely on this. Or even if it was supplementary, you're like, I'm sharing content for other reasons, not to basically, if I'm not getting revenue to pay for a service, like why would I be doing it? I kind of equate it to like, why would you go run ads for something online if like it's not going to convert? So you might be like, hey, I wanted to write this cool blog post and you're really happy about it. It's awesome. Maybe you write a bunch of them. That's awesome. And then you say, okay, I'm going to go run ads and pay, $500 a month and have people go to my site. But there's nothing to buy, and like I'm basically just paying money to have people show up at my site. I feel like that's what our tool would look like to those individuals that aren't trying to monetize a group of people. I am paying money for like no return basically. But the reality is they don't need all of the same capabilities. They need like a subset and a smaller scale. So there's, we might be kind of talking about this separate kind of, not a separate offering, just like a dialed back offering that can still appeal to people. And like I was saying, I think there's an interesting upgrade path here because I don't want us to like try to focus on too many niches. Like this sounds like, I don't want it to sound terrible, but like probably does. I wouldn't focus on that group of people because I would rather focus on how do we get the attention of the people that are willing to pay more money, like as a business. I think that's what makes sense. But I think this one is an easy ad, and I also think that it is a path to growth. Man, this entrance to the freeway is ridiculous. I can't see where it is, but we're doing it. Let's go. Okay, that was weird. The entrance is like 3 lanes wide. So I turned into one and I got lucky, I guess. This guy beside me on the right's in the carpool lane that just goes into like the worst spot ever, so that's neat. This is a real bad spot. I've been complaining every day making these videos about this highway, and let me tell you, this is the worst spot I've seen so far. Good thing I don't do this drive every day. So to explain, there are 3 lanes on this ramp that go into one all at the same time. And then our 1 lane is merging onto the highway. Fortunately, it's short. Into a wall of traffic, and I need to get over 3 more lanes after that to get into the fast lane so that I'm not parked on this highway for days. So we're going to try that. So for the user acquisition, the reason I think this is an interesting opportunity is because if those people continue to use our product and service and they're going, this stuff rocks, it's working for me, and eventually they're growing their content business and they say, hey, now I'm at a point where I can monetize my audience, or I want to try, then they can use like an upgraded tier of our offering, and like by that point it's not us trying to like, we're not trying to schmooze them into it. It's really like they see the value, right? They're going, I want to upgrade because I will get more value out of it. So I think that's why that group of people that might be like a lower price point could be very interesting. And I think that's worth entertaining. That's my personal take on it. Otherwise, if it was like there's no upgrade path that feels natural, like sure, we could onboard them and then we'd be like, now we really got to convince you and like put all our energy into upselling you. I'm like, I don't know if it would be worth spending any attention on that right now at all. So that came up today, which is an interesting conversation. I think we're all roughly on the same page for that. And yeah, we're trying to get the site into a spot that we feel good about, and we basically had to do this site overhaul. Not rehaul. What's rehaul? I have to do this site overhaul to get the latency down and consistently down, so that when we go to do this big email blast to like 50,000 people, that we don't have a majority of them that do click through going, Like, what the hell? I can't see anything here. By the way, I'm not in the fast lane yet because of this law where I can't pass these double lines to go into the fast lane. So I'm crawling where all these fast lanes beside me get to fly by. So soon it will open up and it won't be so sad. You coming over, buddy? There you go. Come on, get in here. So yeah, I think for us it'll be interesting because I think that conversation today opens up a bit more spectrum for like possible clients we might be willing to entertain. And if we go to blast out to that 50,000 user list now, there's probably more people at least that would be interested, whereas before there might be a bunch of people that were like, that price point's just too high. Like, it seems interesting, but I can't justify paying that because I don't make that much money off of my content every month. Now, I'm in a unique position, like I want to acknowledge this because of my job and everything, I feel like I'm in a position that I can afford to go fast. No, to ramp up my content and like have it as an expense as it's growing. So the difference is for people that maybe if they're not employed or they're not in maybe a great spot financially, if they're trying to get into content creation, like, you're not going to go spending money on stuff if it's like just an extra cost that you can't afford. So but I've been in a position, very fortunately, that I have been able to say I can hire a video editor and lose money on my YouTube videos like repeatedly over and over because I'm willing to invest into building my brand up. Other people don't have that luxury, and I'm not here to brag about it or anything. I'm just saying that I need to acknowledge that that's not necessarily the common scenario. I have to think more about, for people that don't see that as like, hey, let me just go lose money every month to build a brand, they're probably in a spot where they're like, I want to build my brand, but I can't go under on this. And they might even be trying to rely on their content creation and stuff for some income. So we have to be cognizant of that. So we have to make sure that our value proposition is such that they realize the amount of money that you're going to be putting into our service is going to enable you to make or get higher return. Pardon me. So when we blast out to this email list, I'm curious to see kind of like, first of all, what kind of conversion rate is that to even get people to click through? And then this user journey of like, okay, they click through to the site, do most of them just fall off, or do we get like a good chunk that are interested in the offering? Do we start seeing if people click on the different price point options? Going to be all sorts of really neat analytics that come from that, and then we can try to steer, right? So I've talked about this in previous videos, but we're very interested in analytics, right? We try to be very data-driven about everything, and that's why our previous efforts have been challenging, because when you don't have people to collect data from, it's hard to pivot. So that should be good. I'm tired. Still trying to figure out if I was sick or am sick. Like, I still feel a little bit in my throat, so I don't know, but we'll see. I'm more nervous about going to CrossFit in the morning. I'm already tired and I don't know how I feel about that, so that is what it is. I'm trying to think if there's maybe there's a couple interesting technical things coming up in BrandGhost that I can kind of chat through. I want to build something that essentially looks at feeds of data. So and I should clarify, I don't mean social media feeds. That's a whole other topic for us in BrandGhost, an aggregate prioritized social feed. But what I'm talking about is more like RSS feeds. And I think I mentioned this in the previous video, but I want to maybe kind of talk through this together, even though it's just me blabbing at you. But to give you an example, right now in BrandGhost, if you want to add content, you go into BrandGhost, you're either importing content from somewhere or you're adding it by hand. And that works for a lot of content, like I would say a majority of it. But I know for myself, I have content that, for example, I post a long form YouTube video, right? Like a programming tutorial. Post something about C#, here's a tutorial. The place that I send it from is YouTube Studio. Like, that's where it goes. That's the entry point into the internet. Now, what happens is, like, I don't even have a topic stream in BrandGhost that posts my long form YouTube videos. And the reason I don't is because the way that it would need to work right now is that I would need to wait for that to get published. Then once it's published, I would have to go by hand add it into BrandGhost as content that could post in the future. So it's never been added, but I have been using BrandGhost backend infrastructure to, like, combined with something else. I use that system to be able to identify when YouTube has a new video. Like, I think it's just watching an RSS feed. When it acknowledges that, it will go post out using BrandGhost. The difference is that that's a one-time post through BrandGhost. It's not adding it to my content stream to repost for the future. So I need to make that system more like a first-class thing in BrandGhost, where I can hook up to feeds of data. So like an RSS feed, or I don't know if there's other types of feeds, but maybe some of them are just APIs, like with webhooks. But anyway, like that might be the other answer, right? Is like, maybe I need to use a webhook for this. But I think in my head I have a way to write this that I'm like, I know I can make this work for my content, but I don't think I've come up with a way that I feel scales very well. So for example, if I'm one user, and let's pretend BrandGhost is just a system for Nick, okay? Then I can go make sure that on server start, I can go listen to an RSS feed, and depending on what tools and libraries I'm using, maybe I have to write like a quartz job that will periodically pull the RSS feed. There might be some other libraries that kind of turn that into like an event-driven style, where you're just listening and then you polling somewhere is getting a change. There might be webhooks that I can subscribe to. And I feel like when I think about these as solutions, I'm like, okay, if I had that working, it would be not so hard. Because once I have the event coming in or notice the change from the RSS feed, great. I could, for my own content, I could write a parser for how I want to take, say, the YouTube video description and turn that into a post, and then add it to my content to be able to be regularly posted. It's like, it's not conceptually that difficult, and that's cool, but I'm really nervous that like that as an approach is completely unscalable. So for example, and maybe it's not, maybe I'm just like inventing this, but maybe on some of these APIs that I can work with, I can provide the webhook. And maybe this is the answer, right? If the APIs that I'm working with, so let's use YouTube as an example. If YouTube allows me to go register a webhook, then I could register one, and then the route that I have in ASP.NET could basically parse any of the parameters. And I'm assuming they have parameters on the webhook. I don't know. And if they don't, if it's in the body or something, then I can parse it and say, great, okay, like we had this webhook, and I need to see like for which user and which content and stuff it is. But even with that, I guess like the meta point here is I don't know how scalable these types of things are. And I might just be getting ahead of myself. Like, we don't have a scalability issue right now, so who cares? Like, go make it work. But part of me is like, if you're a software engineer, you probably relate to this. I'm like, yeah, but what if? Like, what if we get tons of users and then all of a sudden none of the RSS feed stuff is working, or none of the webhook stuff is working because it's not scaling? So these things are on my mind right now. But I think, oh, there's a cop there. I think for me, I need to try it out. I need to like prototype something, I think, get it working for my own stuff, and then make it extensible. And I believe in that pattern. That's how we got to where we are. Make it work for me, refine it, make it extensible. And I'm sure I'll be able to start measuring the impact of that, whether I'm like doing RSS feed polling or I really kind of feel like the webhook thing has got to be the way. I just don't know if there's enough I don't know if enough platforms offer that as like, hey, like, you know, give us a webhook and we'll notify you when there's a change. If they do, great, that's cool, but I don't know if it's a thing. So I will be checking that out. For context, what that will enable me to do is, right now, I do have a podcast topic stream, and every time I post something to Spotify, I also open up BrandGhost by hand, and I basically copy a part of the Spotify post into BrandGhost by hand. And that doesn't scale, right? I'm not going to be doing that by hand forever, and I obviously can't do that for other people. So I'm proving that I really like having those topic streams. I added I shared out my Scott Hanselman podcast on LinkedIn from my business page, and it went from like just under 400 followers to like 800 in a couple weeks, or less than 2 weeks, maybe over 1 week. But like that's huge. That's a lot of growth for one post, right? And it's obviously because he reposted it, but like there is a lot of value in me sharing that topic stream out. So I know that there's value. Now I need to say, how do I make sure I'm not spending more time on it? I really think that the same idea will work for my YouTube videos, because right now I'm posting short form videos, and I post short form videos every single day. But what I've not done, and it feels kind of embarrassing to say this, is like I have not been reposting my YouTube videos, and I have hundreds of them. I should post links to those. And that way people that didn't even know the video exists, now it's getting exposure on social media. So my options are that I could by hand now start doing this, which doesn't scale. But I think I'm proving it already with the podcast that I should just go ahead and do this for YouTube videos as well. So I think before I do the YouTube video one, I want to prove the concept with code, that I can make it happen automatically, because I can't take that on as like one more thing to try and keep up with. Even though it's not that difficult, like I don't want to be bothered to do it. Things for me start to fall apart once I go over my threshold. And unfortunately, I'm constantly riding that threshold, so. We're almost home here. Woo! Yeah, so I think that's going to be a super helpful feature for BrandGhost, I think. It's not going to be something that's very obvious for a lot of people. So that makes it tricky. Like, I know I need it. I don't think it'll be very useful for small businesses, because they'll say, like, that sounds too technical. Like, what would I use that for? But I think there's some content creators, especially the ones with YouTube videos, especially with a podcast, like, don't you want to reshare this content out? You work so hard on it, it's going to get, a big bang for views once, and then you're relying on search terms? like, wouldn't it be nice to refresh everyone's mind periodically about all the awesome stuff you do? I think the answer is yes. And I think for me, I don't know how many, I must have over 200 YouTube videos. Like, I could post a new video every day. And you're basically never going to see the same video. So, not for a long time, but I think it's totally worth doing. So I'll have to see, because that's like, from my personal perspective, and this is where it gets tricky, right? From my personal perspective, I think that's a good thing to work on next. I should go build that out. I think that'll be beneficial for me. But I have to balance that with, like, especially if we're gonna blast out to 50,000 people, like, cool, like, what's the feedback that they're giving now? Because once we start having more and more users, your time is more and more occupied with that. So, but that will be a good problem to have. I'm just double checking. Oh, I saw a message from my wife, but she sent me a meme. I just wanted to make sure she wasn't asking where I was, because it's like, I should be home by now normally. And I called it. It's almost 7. Just before. I'll get this put up so I can see what's going on. But yeah, overall, I think pretty good day. I'm happy with it. I don't think, like, full transparency, I don't feel like I was as productive as I wanted to be at work. But I think that there was a lot of value in being there. And like today, for example, like, getting to be with the team and stuff, like, for that offsite event, like, that was, I think, critical. Got to see one of the other managers has been on mat leave for a little bit, so she came, which is awesome. Just the way the timing was, I haven't been able to work with her much, so it was really cool to see her. And like a big chunk of the team that's local, at least. A lot of people were there. It was really nice. So that's the kind of thing. Like, yeah, I don't like commuting. Ryan was giving me heck a little bit earlier. He said, "Hey, I see the road rage coming out." But it's worth it. It's worth it if I get to go see my team. I like the people I work with. I think that makes a big difference. I don't think I would last anywhere if I didn't like the people I work with. I've been very fortunate about that in my career. Like, where I used to work, some of my best friends are at Magnet. Actually, funny story, on my main channel on Dev Leader, someone left a comment and they said they were, I was reading the comment, they're like, "Hey, I've been binge watching your videos." And I'm thinking, awesome, like, that's great. It's awesome to hear that someone gets hooked on the content. They're like, cool, I like this person's style of teaching, or the topics, or both. And they said, but it really stood out to me that you used to work at Magnet, so Magnet Forensics. And they said, because that's where I'm currently interning. So, sir, if you are watching this, cool stuff, that's awesome. But I thought it was awesome to hear, because, like, I don't know, it's been 4 years, but some of my very best friends for life still work there. So I think it's there's a lot of factors, but, like, yeah, really good people, right? It makes a huge difference for getting work done. I think some people are around others that they don't really like, or maybe I think for a lot of people, like, they don't like their manager, and then they're like, well, I don't like going to work at all, I don't feel motivated to go to work. Or maybe, I think for a lot of juniors, might be in positions where they have people on the team that are like, what do they call them? Like, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on YouTube, so I try not to, but, like, an intelligent jerk, I'll use that word, jerk. And then they don't feel like they have a safe place at work to, like, discuss things and debate things, because they're always going to get shut down, and, like, no one likes that. So I've been very fortunate. And I think I'm kind of at the point in my career where, like, if that changed, I would either be trying to make a change regarding it, or I would be gone. Like, I can't put up with that. I think now that I've seen I've seen it a few times, or at least helped other people go through it and stuff and navigate that. I've definitely experienced it, but like, I don't got time for that. Not a chance. My wife is home. Okay. She's gonna say, "Where have you been?" And I'll say, "I was playing games." I was playing board games. That's what I'll say. And she'll say, "That's weird." And I'll say, "It's for work." And she'll say, "That's even weirder." Cool, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. And I will see you tomorrow because I'm going to the office again. See ya.